because an economy involves trade-offs. Politics involves solutions, real or imaginary. Some years ago, there was a tragic airplane crash in which a baby was killed by being torn from its mother's arms. In Washington, the answer was quite clear. We must have laws that say that babies cannot be held in mothers' arms in airplanes. They must have their own separate seat where they're strapped in. Fortunately or unfortunately, a couple of economists got hold of this, and they figured out what would be the probable result of such a law. First of all, it means that every couple that's traveling with a baby would have to buy 3 seats instead of 2. And therefore they would have 50% higher costs of transportation. Now, since to ordinary people in the real world, as it's distinguished from Washington, money matters. And therefore some of those people would not fly. Some would take alternative transportation on the ground, almost all of which has a higher fatality rate than airplanes. And so they estimated that in the course of a decade, you would save 1 baby's life, and you would lose the lives of 60 other people, as well as $72 million. So the whole perspective of trade-offs is typically lacking in political decision-making. People ask such questions as, in politics, is nuclear power safe? And the answer is no, because if nuclear power were safe, it would be the only safe thing on the face of the earth. The only question is, compared to what? Compared to hydroelectric dams? Compared to doing without electricity? There's a story which I hope is apocryphal of an economist who was on the street, met a friend who said, "How are you? How's your wife?" To which the economist replied, "Compared to what?" So looking at nuclear power in this way, it is far safer than any alternative method of producing electricity. Someone calculated how many lives are lost for every so many billion kilowatt hours of electricity, because human lives are among the price paid for generating electricity. And having calculated this, they asked how many lives would be lost generating the amount of electricity that would have been generated by 3 Mile Island during the time that it was shut down. And the answer was 52 lives. No lives were lost at 3 Mile Island, even during the, quote, disaster, unquote. 2 people were killed on the highway trying to get away from 3 Mile Island. Someone has calculated the risk to your life of various kinds of activities. Living within 5 miles of a nuclear power plant for half a century represents the same risk to your life as driving 10 miles on the interstate highway, or spending half an hour in a coal mine, or 6 minutes in a canoe. And I think of all the environmentalists in their canoes worrying about nuclear power plants.